Okay, guys, we are live and we're letting folks come in the room. By the way, Travis, on that blue bar that's on the right-hand side of the screen, there's a second icon that says chat. If you click on that, that's where people can come into the room and say hello. So if, as you guys are filing in, please say hello and where you're from. Put it in the chat room. Tonight we have, well, I'm going to wait, introduce you in a minute. Let's let a few more people get in because it takes a minute or two for people to start coming in. Or we might only have two people. It may be 2 against 2, 2 on 2. So, hey, Sanju. He's a regular. Where are you from, Sanju? Virginia. Okay, cool. Hey, David. Where are you coming from, brother? And then, by the way, if you're a Land Academy Pro member, like you're part of the membership site, chime in and tell us that you are. So I want to kind of get a gauge on how many people are like maybe outsiders. Don't want to call you an outsider, but not part of the family, so to speak. Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's a lot of good land up in there, David, to buy and sell. Sanju's at LA Pro. Okay, cool. And we've got a few other people in the room. Let me go over here and all right. Come on in, guys. David's a pro member. Cool. How many people listen to Steve and Jill's podcast today? You're supposed to be seeing you guys yet. Yeah. Sanju, you are supposed to be seeing us. Are you not seeing us, but you're hearing us? If you're not seeing us, if you guys are running on Wi-Fi, the best way to get the best, okay, you can see this now, but if you've got sketchy service, Sanju, you want to turn off your Dropbox, don't have any other browser windows open like Facebook. That stuff in the background is going to eat up your bandwidth. If you're on a desktop, but you also have your laptop around, you're on a desktop or a laptop on Wi-Fi, but you've got your phone and your phone's Wi-Fi is on, again, turn your Wi-Fi off of the device you're not watching the webinar with. If you've got Roku or any other kind of streaming device for your smart TV, that eats up bandwidth, turn that off. If your wife is on the phone, go turn her phone off. Or your husband. Anyway, so right now we got 5 people in the room, and we're going to go ahead and officially start. I want to welcome our special guest today, Travis Keller. Say hello, Travis.
Hello, everyone. How you guys doing? I know a few of you.
So Travis is he thinks he might be a little nervous because he's never done this before, but I said, dude, this is like me and you sitting at a bar having a beer, and you tell me that you flip land for fun and profit. I'm like, what? How do you do that? And I start asking you questions, and we just have a conversation. That's what it's about. So, and the reason I asked if you guys had seen or heard the webinar today, the podcast by Steve and Jill. It was called Proven, or that was the meat of the show. Did you happen to catch it, Travis? You were working out all day.
Today. Yeah, I was busy.
I hope he wasn't, but I think Steve was in a roundabout way talking about me. I don't know for sure, because he said it's funny how we've got all these members now starting up their own YouTube things and other online stuff, and they think once they've done like 3 deals, they have all the answers. And so I'm, oh my God, he's talking about me. I haven't even done 3 deals yet, or 6 deals, or whatever it was he said, and they think they know everything. I don't think I know anything. The reason I'm doing this is twofold. One is because I think it's a great way for us in our community to learn some of the detailed stuff that might not get covered in the actual formal educational piece that Land Academy offers. And then 2, this is totally personally selfish reason. I got a front row seat in some of the best accomplished land flippers in the business that I get to ask them whatever question I feel like it, and it helps me figure out the business, right? So that's one of the reasons I do it. So I'm definitely not suggesting that since I've got in the business that now I'm an expert and I'm going to try to horn in on that online internet presence. I'm not. I'm just, hey, Nick, how's it going, brother? I'm just trying to. Is that Nick Slager? I'm just trying to work out how to learn about this business and offer a service that I think maybe it'll be bigger than me. It'll be bigger than just uh, me and you doing this interview. Maybe people will come away from this and learn some specific ideas they can take for their business. So with that, so give me quite of a hey Nick, glad to hear, brother. Nick was our guest last week. He knocked it out of the park. We covered a lot of good stuff. And then I want to do a shout out to my first interview, which was with Tim Flood. Tim just hit a freaking home run. I don't know if you heard about this, Travis. He bought a piece of property for $38,000 on a Thursday, and on Monday he had already sold it and closed on it for $130,000 in 4 freaking days.
All right, Tim, show us how to do it.
Well, one of the things I said, well, how did you find a buyer? He says, well, I didn't really find them. They found me. I said, how did that happen? He goes, well, I knew I wouldn't. He's the kind of guy that he goes and visits every single property that he buys. So he buys properties within about a 3-hour drive of where he lives in Texas. So he bought this property, and he wasn't going to be able to get up there for about 4 or 5 days to put his sign up. He always puts up for sale sign up. So he called a buddy that lived in up an area, and he said, hey, man, will you do me a favor? Just go to Home Depot, buy a cheap for sale sign by owner or something, and put my phone number on it. And he stuck it in the ground. A contractor developer guy drove past, and it was in an area that was kind of commercializing. He saw, he told me, man, I started seeing Dollar General store, and I saw some other stuff. I'm like, wow, this isn't a happening area. The guy just calls him up out of the blue, so I'll buy it. And I still don't know how he came up with a price on that. I got to get back with him. I'm hoping to do like a mini short follow-up view. So, Travis Keller, who are you, dude, and why are you here?
I'm Travis Keller. I'm here because Jake said he was starting up an incredible adventure, and I wanted to jump on board and be one of the pioneers. He said you got some experience, and I wanted to share my experiences with the community as well.
I do appreciate that too, because I did post a thread in the forum and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Who would be willing to support it? Who would be willing to come on board?" And I think there's some other guys out there, some guys, heavy hitters out there that they haven't committed yet, because I think they want to see, is this thing going to be real for real? Is it legitimate? But I did get, and I will have to say this. I have to give a disclosure. I am not endorsed by Land Academy. They're not like saying, "Hey, this is a guy that's out there doing and representing us." In fact, I got an email from Aaron Spence, who heads up all of the support for Land Academy. She goes, "You do know you can't say that you're part of Land Academy, or that we're endorsing you in any way, or that it has anything. It's got to be totally separate." I said, "Hey, I'm totally okay with that. I get that." And so I have been actually. That's on the sign-up sheet when you get an invite from me, and there's a disclosure at the bottom that says, I am in no way related to Land Academy, except I'm just a member, and they're not endorsing me, but I'm hoping down the road that they might change their mind and actually say, wow. Now, they did give me the opportunity to offer people in this room who are not pro members the opportunity to purchase at a deep discount, so I do have a promo code that I'm going to give out later. But, again, you saw this in Land Academy, but tell me your story. What did you do before Land Academy? How did you find out about land flipping? Were you already in the land investment or real estate business, or what? What's the scoop?
That's interesting. When you ask open-ended questions like that, you have a tendency to get people's life stories. So I have to say,
well, that's kind of what I want, but I don't want it to be an epic life story. I want you to condense it, and
So when I was 5 years old, I was playing with my mother. Just teasing. I'll give you some of my background. So some of you may have seen me in the forums. I've been doing specifically this land stuff since the summer of 2017. So coming up on a couple of years now. Before that, I was military for several years. I was in the Air Force. I worked in oil rigs after I got out of the Air Force, and then I lived overseas for several years, traveling around Asian countries and whatnot. So that gave me a lot of experience with kind of this whole. I've been a lot of nomads at that time, I guess you would say, a lot of people who are running their own businesses from a computer. And maybe 2.5 years ago, I met a former military friend of mine, not my business partner, but another gentleman who I guess you would say is a self-made man. He's financially independent, and he started mentoring me to an extent. He kind of he changed the way I look at money a lot. And of course, I got on the Robert Kiyosaki train with the Rich Dad Poor Dad, as many of us probably did who have gotten into this business. And I started looking at things differently. I watched my dad, and I noticed my dad had been working really hard for his whole career, and he wasn't going to be able to retire. He wasn't sure that he was going to be able to retire whenever it came time. And I said, I really don't want that to be my life. And so anyway, long story short, I just got voracious about studying finance, economics, business, being self-employed, things of this nature. And it helped that at the time I recruited some of my old military peers who I had met during my time in the Air Force, who were kind of a similar mindset, and I brought them up with me. So one of those gentlemen, he decided to go into this business with me. I'll get to that in a second. My mentor that I mentioned earlier he's got a ton of side gigs. He's a hustler. That man is just putting money together left and right. But anyway, he mentioned Podolsky. So here I was, I looked at the Land Geek, and I was like, I've always been an outdoors person. I like rock climbing. I like adrenaline rushes. And land, something about land just stuck with me. And the fact that he does it from his computer, I said, I could do that. That's incredible. So
you like to be outdoors, but you like to be in front of your computer too.
Well, I have to say, I'm a senior in computer engineering at Auburn University right now. So I live in front of my computer when I'm not out exercising or something. But anyway,
you told me you just came in from rowing, right? You're a rower.
Yeah, I'm on the university rowing club, and we just had a workout at 6 o'clock Central, so I just had to rush back here to get in front of the camera. So anyway, what ended up happening, I don't know how I found Land Academy. I looked at lots of the different programs out there, and whatever it was that attracts all of us to Jack and Jill, well, that got me too. It drew me in. I like that they're doing everything digitally. They're authentic. They're real. And they're not lying. And so I decided, I said to my peers, my other military peers, like, hey guys, I'm going to take a real swing at this thing. I don't have a lot of money right now, but I'm going to take a real try at doing a real estate business. Does anybody want to jump on board? One of my old professional contacts said, yeah, he's going to come on board. And we had no idea what we're doing. We didn't know what the difference in an LLC and an S Corp and a C Corp and attorneys and all of the stuff that you have to do to actually get to the point where you're successfully flipping land. But we figured it out along the way. And so since 2017, we've just been faking it till we make it. And I haven't quite made it yet, but I've done a whole lot.
You've had success, though. You've purchased properties and done deals. Okay. Yeah. So that's I just wonder how many people have joined Land Academy and how many have actually ever purchased a piece of property and or sold it. I know that I've heard Stephen mention that he thought there was about 350 active members. That I guess they can tell that because they can look and see who's ordering, who's ordering letters, mail, offers to owners. But I would imagine there's, I don't know, maybe 1,000 or more, or I don't know. I can't guess how many.
Crazy.
But the 80-20 rule always works. And if 80% of the people don't do anything and 20% of the people actually take action, then that means that to get 80% and you got 350, that'd be what, about 1,500? What's 20% that equals 350? I don't know. I can't do the math on that. But that means there's over 1,000 people that, and I'll figure this out right now. Give me a second here. 80. Let's see, 20 divided by, nope, that's not it. It's 350 divided by 0.2. It's 1,750. So technically speaking, if the 80-20 rule holds true, then they've probably got close to 2,000 people who've joined, and only 350 are doing something. So kudos to you, Travis Keller, for breaking through the 80%, the herd, and getting out there and doing something. Can you remember your first deal?
Yeah, it was on my 30th birthday, actually.
Really?
I remember,
how did that work?
Well, it gave me a reason to have a beer, I'll tell you that much.
So is that the first one you purchased or what? Or
yes, that was the first one we purchased. The first deal I ever did was a purchase, and I'll extrapolate on what I'm alluding to there later.
And then, so you guys got together and you decided you'll just pool your assets and say, let's work 50-50. Is that how it works on your partnership? Because I do have a partner myself.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I started off solo because I had told him about it, and I thought he might be interested. And he said, yeah, it sounds great, but I don't believe anybody's going to say yes to your letters, dude. I just don't believe it. And then when I had a couple that said yes, he's like, whoa. I offered him a chance to come on board, and he jumped on it. It's always good to have a second head because you can compare thoughts, make sure that you're not going off. Yeah, make sure you don't go in the wrong direction or doing something stupid. You have probably. So what do you feel like as a partnership? What are your strengths versus his strengths?
So I'm very technical. I'm a computer engineering, so we do a lot of software. So the technology is what I do, and I can also do the numbers. I run the numbers in our business. He's worked in manufacturing. He's climbed the corporate ladder for, since he got out of the Air Force 7, 8, 9 years ago. So the background he brings is a lot of business experience, not entrepreneur experience, but he sees how the CEOs of the big corporations do it, Pfizer and some of the big pharmaceutical companies. Whereas my experience is very technical. I can run the numbers. I can do the code. I do all of our software. Everything on the computer is what I do. And I'll get to in a minute. I have now made our business completely virtual to where we can run it from anywhere. And I'll give tips on what software we use later if you want to.
Okay, sure. So do you want to just take the lead here and go where you want to go, or do you want me?
Yeah, sure. There's one point I want to say for anybody in the group that's new, who has paralysis about sending out your first mailer. I did what they tell you to do. We blanketed an entire county in Nevada with the completely wrong price, and I just got tons of hate mail. But you know what? I mean, even a year later, I still was getting accepted offers off of that first mailer, and we formed relationships and buyers during that time. So I had no idea what I was doing, but I just did it.
How many mail pieces did you send out?
How many was it? This is probably an exaggeration. I think my first one was 800. I think it was 800, and then I sent several into the same county thereafter as I started dialing in my pricing. So what ended up happening is all the people on the outskirts of the city in the middle of nowhere are the ones who accepted my offer because it was too low. Yeah.
So did you pick a certain size and stick with that certain size, like 5 acres, or what was your first mailer?
Yeah, I actually went right around 1 acre. Some county in Nevada, we just went plus or minus 0.2 acres or something like that, and I just blanketed the county with 1 acre offers for.
Well, you're saying that your price was all wrong. Was you think it was too high or too low, or what?
It was close to right for the outskirts of this area, for the outskirts of the county, the places in the middle of nowhere. But this place has got it's not too far from Vegas. It's got sort of infill lots, I guess you would say, but not like Las Vegas infill lots or Minneapolis infill lots. It's got residential lots, I would say, and the ones closer to the city, closer to the amenities, they just threw away my paper.
They just laugh at you.
Yeah, literally.
What do you remember? What your pricing per acre was?
I think we offered $5,000 per acre.
Per acre?
Yes.
Per acre.
Yeah.
Crap, man! My first mailer, I had a segment of them that I offered $681 per acre. And that was from 4 acres up to 6 acres. Then from 6 to 20, I offered $757 an acre. Anything over 20, I offered $312 an acre.
Yeah.
So I got lots of. Now I'm in Tennessee, and I did this in Tennessee. I don't know if it makes a difference or not. I still think that I still have this theory, and I've posited it twice on both of my interviews, is that I don't know how you can determine if too low a price is too low, because I just don't think people sit out there saying, I want to sell my property for 25 cents on the dollar or 30 cents on the dollar. This guy offered me 22% on the dollar. 22 cents on the dollar, and I just think that's too low. I would have done it at 25 or 27 or 30. I mean, it's all low. Why these guys are not going to be comparing their prices to retail price? Now, maybe they've got the yard sale theorem going for them, where when you walk up to a yard sale, you see something and you see a price tag on it, you know it's a good deal on it or not. Or you also know if it's too high. You just gut instinct, it's too high. I mean, I ain't gonna buy your bowling ball for $20, man. That's not a yard sale price for a bowling ball. It should be like $7 or $10. So maybe that's it too. Maybe there's a gut instinct of, man, that's just too low. And maybe when you get it just right, people just know that's not bad. That's not too low. And okay, I guess I could deal with it.
Yeah, you get people who say it's really hard to get feedback because you don't know how many calls you're going to get back. Some people laugh at you, and then other people at the same price will say, well, that's reasonable. And when they say that's reasonable, that makes me think that I came in too high, right? Because I want you want most people, the first half of the people are going to be chewing you out. That's really hard to know.
That's what I'm saying.
I didn't want to do when we started this, I said, I really don't want to go through the phase of spending $300 and just making $500 profit. I wanted to jump up into the big leagues quicker, and had mediocre success with that. But, at the same time, I wasn't sending out it wasn't 33% of market value. It's probably closer to 45 or 50,
Well, let me ask you this. On your first mailer, 800 pieces or so, how many actual deals? Do you remember how many deals you got out of that 800?
I would have to guess. We've probably gotten probably 4 or 5 deals off of that first mailer.
Okay.
Actually, probably more than that.
Dude, then you must have overpriced it, because they're only supposed to get a deal every 300 letters. You should have got like 2.3 deals or something.
You're right. So maybe we did overprice it.
But did you on all those deals? Those are deals that you actually purchased, right? You said 6 or 7.
Some, yeah.
How many? Do you remember how many you actually purchased?
Of those, I've probably purchased 3.
Okay, and all 3 of them you made a profit on?
Oh yeah, I've never taken a loss.
Never taken a loss. Okay, so you're probably in the ballpark then. I mean, yeah, I had a few that was offered, but they were just people coming back and wanting more, and we just never could come to an agreement. And so that's probably about the. Do you track your numbers as far as how many people call you, how many people hate you, how many people were okay with you, how many people were like, I did business with them, how many people were like, maybe they'll do business later, they're just not ready?
I haven't been that organized. Now I'm using a CRM, so we're getting a little more organized about that. But in the past, I just kind of kept a mental tally. Probably should, but I didn't have that analytics.
I'm tracking all of mine, because something I just did. I've only done 2 mailers. I did my first mailer in January, and we bought 2 properties. So I'm no guru for sure, but I also struggle with this pricing issue. So me and my partner decided on this last mailer, we sent out 3,600 mailers over 3 counties, because you got to send. You can't get enough. There's not enough parcels in Tennessee counties to make it worth your while. But what we did was we sorted everything from the lowest acreage all the way up to the highest acreage, and then we chose in our spreadsheet. We said on this one we want to offer 25% of the price that we think is a retail price per acre. The next one, which is probably the same size parcel because they were all ranked, so you had 4, 4, 4, 4, 4.2, 4.2, and it kept going up. So the next one is at 35%. So we went back and forth, and we've got a 3,600 pieces where half of them are getting a 25% offer, the other half are getting a 35% offer. And what we're going to do is we're going to track that and say, how many calls did we get from the 25% offers? How many calls did we get from 35%? How many deals did we get from this one? How many deals from the other one? And then we're going to compare notes, and then we're going to run the numbers and say, okay, yes, we're not making as much margin on these 35%ers, but we did, instead of 3 deals, we did 8 deals, and the 8 deal total dollars that we collect, the total amount of return is not a total dollar return might not be as high as a percentage return, but we got more dollars. If we get more dollars, then I think we're going to stick with that method and maybe start pricing everything 35. Is that have you seen any of this in your dealings?
I guess I have, because to an extent, I would deal with different pricings. I would, I said the first time we did just a hair off of 1 acre. Well, I went back and did another mailer again, actually to the same households, but with a slightly different spread, with a little bit more succinct pricing when I knew what I was doing, and I got better results. I don't know if he's in the call right now, but there's another Land Academy member that I was in a conference with a while back. He even talked about when you send out mail to a new county, he was considering just doing an option contract or an assignment every time on the first property that comes back, so that you can get a finger on what property's actually selling for in that region. If you can convince somebody, you know what I mean. So
So
rather
in
than
other
use
words,
your capital, you just sell it. Or
I think
yeah,
I've heard this. Who is the guy? Because I think I've heard this idea.
Jason.
Who?
I mean, there's 9 people in here. I'll name drop him. Jason Lydiard.
Okay. If you're in here, Jason, speak up, brother. That's interesting because what he did was he didn't risk any of his own money. He went out and tried to sell it, and by trying to sell it, he was able to figure out what the price should be.
Mm, yeah.
Uh,
An
Well, you
option.
said you okay. So then he would go back and what? Redo his whole list, or
Yeah, so I guess that's the trick, right? I guess you would have to send it out to a small sample first to see what,
that's right.
and then
Yeah,
you would cast your net wider.
gotcha. Yeah, I did. I've heard this. I don't know if I don't know where I heard it. I don't know if it's on the on Steve and Jill's podcast. Maybe they talked about. I don't know.
They don't like
I
that.
do remember. I do remember hearing that about that. So, but you said you went back and mailed the same list again, the
I've
same
done that.
exact households.
Hmm.
Over
Hmm.
what time frame?
And it's weird, over just the course of a few months, like less than 6 months.
Holy cow! And you got better results the second time.
Better results, and nobody even said, "Hey, you've already sent me a letter." It's
That is
just people didn't
crazy
realize. Yeah, I
because
firmly
they.
believe you can retap accounting.
Well, that's not conventional thinking within Land Academy. Land Academy is like, oh, you better wait a year before you go back there. Let the
Mhm.
grass grow some. So
What do
you've
you
proven
have to
that's
lose
not.
except money? Well, there's money, but
Yeah, it's only $5 or $6 or $800 or something, but you could
yeah.
get that back in one deal. So, what'd you do next? So you did
Well,
that. You learned a lot from that.
what I've cut my teeth with, and I think we might have talked about this a little bit offline, but I'm an assignment guy. My partner and I have done a whole lot of assignments, because I sent out 2,500 pieces of mail to probably five states recently, because I wanted to branch out of Nevada. I'm going to assume that I priced all of them wrong, because I'm not buying a single one of them. But lots of deals came in, lots of people who wanted to sell their property. So we just tell them, hey, we've got a buyer's list. If you're interested in letting us market the property for you, we could probably connect you with the buyer, and then we just collect the difference in what they offer it to us for and what we offer it to the buyer for. We collect the difference in between, kind of like an agent, but it's just an option contract that we have in place that allows us to do
So
it.
you actually have them sign an option contract?
Yeah, we do. I think Justin Sleva actually probably sent me the option contract template
Really?
a while back. Hmm. So
Can
I've
you
done that a lot.
can you define the people who might not be Land Academy members or may not understand what an assignment is? Can you define what an assignment is?
A lot of us probably know what options contracts are. It just gives you and I'm interchanging option and assignment. I know they're different, but an options contract would give you the ability to say, hey, I'm going to put this under an exclusive contract in most places, saying that I can buy it at this price within whatever time frame you set. So anytime I want to exercise this option, I can buy your property at $6,000, and then you go out and market it, and you find a buyer who will buy it at $9,000, and you close. Not necessarily a double close, but you know what I mean. That's an option.
Here, okay.
You want me to go into an assignment?
Yeah, go for it.
So an assignment is it's really kind of the same thing. It's just the wording is a little bit different. You have to find a escrow company that will do it for you. The way that we do it is we don't make it exclusive, so we don't have to put any earnest money down. We just say, hey, we're going to market your property. If we find the buyer you have to close through us. But if you find another buyer, good for you. Good for you. We're happy. We're not going to get in the way of your deal. And then we have written in the contract that we or our assigns can go visit the property. We can mark it as if we own it. Then whenever we find a buyer, we send it into escrow. We technically buy the property and immediately resell it to someone else, but we never
So
put any
you
money
do a
down. We just collect the
so you
difference.
could do a simultaneous closing.
It's not a double close because there's one escrow. So technically, we're buying the property and we're assigning it to someone else, but we don't spend any money. We just take a cut from the buyer. They pay us an assignment fee, so they know the
Why?
purchase price is.
So why would you do an assignment versus an option contract?
Let's see, an option. I see your question here, Daniel. I'd be happy to send you this contract after this. Um, I guess.
If you want to send it to me, I'll sit out and include a link to it so that everybody that's participating on the webinar tonight can get that
Sure.
if people would
Sure.
like it. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Sure. They're very similar. I guess there's not much of a difference. I could do either one. My understanding is, a lot of times with an option contract, you might have to put money down or do a double close or hold escrow open for longer. But with the assignment contract, it's literally technically we're buying it and then somebody else pays that they pay the buyer, they pay the seller $5,000 and then they pay me a $2,000 assignment fee on top of that. And they agreed to all of that beforehand. So I don't ever have to put any money down at all. See what I'm saying? And then everything's open too. It's transparent.
Okay. So do you have people, how many times have you made that offer where they wanted to go ahead and sell you the property, but you wanted to do an assignment and then they say, nah, I don't want to do that. And you lost the deal over it?
Actually, of course it's happened, but I would have to look at our numbers, but I want to say probably 60% of the time it works. That might be optimistic, but usually people just want to get rid of their property. And if I can, it's all about how much rapport and trust I can build with them on the phone. If they don't trust me and they think I'm a scammer, they're going to go tell me to kick rocks. But if I can build rapport with them, usually they'll say, what do I have to lose if this guy sells it for me?
Right. So you just take a kind of a hunker down approach and say, hey, I don't, I'd like to market your property for you because I do have a lot of buyers. I think I might be able to find a buyer that you're not going to find. Yeah. And if you're happy with the price that we agree on, I can go out there and do that for you. Yeah. What type of time frame do you usually put on either an options contract or an assignment?
60 days.
Yeah. All right. So Chuck is saying that 60 days. Okay. Chuck is saying that I stopped giving option deposits to sellers to sign option contracts, and it's been working no problem. So basically, you just didn't offer any money, Chuck. So what you're saying is, why offer the money unless they ask for it?
You would offer the money if you were trying to say that this contract is exclusive, because then you have to incentivize them to make it exclusive. If you just take out the exclusivity clause, then all it is kind of courtesy. You don't have to put money down. That's how we do it.
So if you do an options contract without a consideration, which is the money you put down to bind it, what you're saying is it's no longer a binding contract then?
No. The way that we get around that, in disclosure, I'm not an attorney, but the way that we get around that is we put in the writing, and this is loose, right? But we say if the buyer located is someone that we acquired, is a buyer that was acquired through us, and of course it's hard to enforce that, then you have to close through us. But if you find a buyer on your own, which has never happened, through other means, then you're welcome to close with them. Because I don't care if I lose the assignment, right. Or I can go. There's a million other properties I can buy.
Exactly, I get that. I'm just trying to figure out why I would do an assignment versus an options contract. Because if I could do that, for example, when you do assignment, aren't you spending more money to close with? You're using escrow and you're using title, or are you using an attorney that just does?
I assume you could do both. I have not used an attorney yet. We have a good relationship with escrow companies.
Okay, and does it matter where the escrow company is located and where the property is located?
Yes, sometimes it's usually you got to get to somebody who's pretty high up in the company and pretty experienced before you can convince them to do an assignment or maybe even an option for you because they're not used to doing those kind of offers. And some will tell you
Oh,
no.
okay.
Yeah. I think that I got some girl to do it because she said, "Oh yeah, I used to own an escrow company in California, and we do those all the time. I'll see if I can find the old contracts." Nobody else in the office had any idea what she was talking about. So you got to
If
get
you well, if you provide the contracts as an example, would that grease the skids a bit?
I suppose it would. What I've found is that different states and different escrow companies have different ways, different paperwork. So, like in Minnesota, for example, where we're selling a few lots, you have to use the statewide purchase agreement, right? But I guess we have our own assignment contract we can provide them. But we also have to use a purchase agreement. In Nevada, where I'm working, this escrow company has a proprietary purchase agreement that they generate. And did I cut out there? They have a proprietary purchase agreement they generate. So the paperwork's a little bit different, but the assignment contracts should always be the same. So to answer your question directly, sort of.
How much does it cost you guys to do this when you hire the third party to do it for you? Is it a fixed cost or is it a percentage cost? How does that work?
So we have finally, after a year of working with this title company in Nevada, negotiated a investor rate, I guess you would say. So I wouldn't say that it's per se a fixed cost, but it usually now it's coming out to just a little over $1,000 for an escrow company. I have not used an attorney yet. I know Jack and Jill are pushing that big right now. So
Well, they got that from Joe Martin because Joe Martin spilled the beans on a Thursday call and said, "Yeah, I'm using an attorney that can close with title in 72 hours." I'm like, what? Because
well,
you
he
can't
has
get a
risen
title
to fame,
company.
hasn't he?
Huh?
Joe just ever since his interview with Jill on Jill's show, he's just rocketed to fame, hasn't he?
Yeah, I want to get him on the show. I don't know if I can get him on here yet or not,
I
but he's on my radar for sure. But he's he dropped that bomb on a Thursday call, and he's like, yeah, I use attorneys, and all you got to do is just go Google closing attorneys or specialized, real estate, and you got to find the ones that just do that. What were you paying before you was paying your investor rate of 1,000?
It probably gave me a $250 discount.
Okay, well it adds up over
Oh
time.
yeah, oh yeah, it definitely does. Additional
So
fees come from additional document preparations, different affidavits and things.
So you are basically keeping your investment equity at a minimum if you're doing mostly assignments. When you say, do you do all assignments or
No,
how?
no. If the deal's okay, here's a disclaimer. I would prefer. Well, okay. Obviously, if you can buy the property, if you priced it right and they actually accept your offer, then that's more ideal, right? But so far, maybe it's inexperience, maybe it's because I'm not. I don't know. For whatever reason, I find there's a lot of people who want to sell, but your price just doesn't quite cut it, and I'm not happy with the price that they're asking for. So rather than just lose the deal, I say, well, here's an option we can do for you.
Okay, gotcha. So you do buy unless they come
Yeah.
back. You offer me 5, but I really want 7, and you're thinking, well, I can still maybe sell it for 12 or 15.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
give do an assignment.
We should be closing on 2 here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So I buy and do assignments. I just try not to lose deals. You know what I mean?
Well, I have the thing about that I'm wondering about options is the fact that if you put a 60 or 90-day limit on it, that you know one of the things that I think about doing is, okay, I probably should want to go to the neighbors right off the bat and see if they want to pick up this
Yes.
property.
Yeah.
But if you go to the neighbors and they're like, yeah, Joe's selling his property, okay, and he has a cup of coffee across the fence with him and says, hey, had this guy call me wanting to sell your property. Did you already sell it? No, I hadn't sold it yet. I don't know that they would wind up talking to the guy or not because they don't usually live on the property. But what if they do know the guy and they call him up and say, hey, I'll buy your property. What did he offer you? Well, you only offered me 5,000. Well, heck, I'd offer you 10. Well, we need to wait 60 days or 90 days. I mean, is that even a threat? Is that even a risk or not? Or am I worrying about something that's probably not going to happen?
Sure, that's always a risk. That's always a possibility, but I don't really care because I know there's 10 more assignments or 10 more deals waiting for me on the other
Well,
side.
that's
That
true.
probably won't happen to. So it's kind of like, sure, you 1 in 20 or something that will happen with, but as Jack and Jill said, just send more mail. There's always more
Right.
deals, you know.
Well, Chuck's making a good point. You can usually extend an option contract if you just
Sure.
ask. Probably.
I've
Have you
even
ever?
done it.
Have you
Yeah.
done that?
Yeah,
Have you done it
we've
on
had times
assignments as
where,
well?
yeah, I've had times where we were marketing the property and it took a long time to sell. And then all of a sudden, the options contract had run out and I was still marketing it, which I should not have been, but I didn't realize that. I just still had it on Facebook or something. And somebody said, "Hey, I want to buy this property." And I contacted the original seller back and I said, "Hey, look, ma'am, I know it's been a while and technically our contract has expired, but are you still I have a buyer lined up if you want to do this." Who's going to say no to that? Who's going to say, "Oh, it took you 3 months instead of 2 months. I don't want to sell anymore."
Right.
I'll just
Exactly.
go for it. So,
Uh, s- so have you ever done this though? Have you ever had an assignment when you say you close these things almost simultaneously? Is it a done deal when the person that says yes, I'll buy your property, and then you set up the closing, or has you ever had a situation where they said yeah, I'll buy it, then you go to close it and buy it, and then they wig out on you?
yeah, so I put language in our contract on the purchase agreement because like I said, we're the buyers and then we're just assigning it. So to avoid getting in a situation where I buy the property and then I'm on the hook for it because the buyer backed out, we put language in the contract that says this purchase agreement is only valid upon successful assignment. And then we put our initials there. So if they
Oh, so
back
you
out,
got a
the deal is done.
weasel clause. Okay, good.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, you got to
CYA.
have a yeah, you got a CYA baby. So how
Yeah,
many
exactly.
so did you did you just how did you discover the assignment aspect? Did you see that in Land Academy, or did you just kind of
Well,
back into it?
you alluded to this in the interview description for this. Before I ever got into real estate, I went to one Kiyosaki, Robert Kiyosaki. What do you call them? These meetings.
Yeah, a meetup group or
No, not a
conference or
meetup,
something.
like a training session for a week, a week
Yeah.
long training session. My partner flew me up to Chicago and we went to a Kiyosaki training session. I've read several books on real estate. I've talked to local real estate agents. I've had real estate mentors, but I never really did it per se. So I know a lot about how this stuff works. Some of the tax code. I've read a few tax code books to see the 1031 exchanges and things of that nature. So I knew that these things existed, and I knew that some people were doing them. So I wanted to know how to do it, and I think somehow I ended up in touch with Justin Slee. Oh, what it was is we had one of my first deals that ever came in was a guy who wanted to sell probably multi-millions dollars worth of equity of property around the country. He said cumulatively probably a thousand acres, and it was all like 1 acre lots, and they were all over the country.
Wow.
He wanted to
Wow.
sell some in like metropolitan areas, like New Jersey, like right in Boston, right in like in the city. Anyway, he wanted $250,000 for it, and I would guess this could probably yield, I don't know, 5, 10, $15 million in profit. He didn't care. His dad had collected it. He just wanted to take $250,000 and get rid of it. So that's how I found Justin, because Justin was able to put that kind of capital together at the time. And we lost the deal, but Justin helped me out with a lot of things early on.
How did you
But
lose that deal?
it's funny. First of all, I didn't know Justin and I didn't know the seller, and the seller was being stingy and said that he wanted to basically see proof of funds before he would tell anybody what was in his portfolio. And when I finally went to the guy and I was like, "Hey, we got somebody who can provide that capital. Will you please let us see what's in your portfolio before we commit this kind of money?" His attorney said, "Sorry, we closed the deal yesterday. I didn't expect it to stay on the market for long." Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So
How was he?
I was not ready.
How was that guy marketing it? How did you find out about the property?
It was one of my first mailers. Some guy was just like, I remember his name exactly, and he said, I remember his accent and everything. One of our first mailers went out, and I had not bought any property, so I was completely inexperienced. I didn't know what I was doing, and then he called me and he's like, "Hey, I'm old. I'm just looking for somebody to throw me $250,000, and we'll close this property, and some young guy like you can take it on. So whoever gives me the money first will do it." And I said, "Oh my God, this could make me rich." That's the stars started spinning, and But and I was like, we are not going to lose this deal to my partner. But ultimately, I was just inexperienced. I couldn't get
Well,
the market enough.
how was he marketing the? How was he actually actively marketing?
I don't think he was. I don't. He. I don't remember. He was some guy with some pretty high connections. So he used to play golf with Chuck Yeager, the X1
Yeah.
pilot. So I think he was probably just marketing it internally to some big
Well, I
tycoon.
wouldn't doubt. I wouldn't put it past the attorney was the one that bought it. The attorney that you
That's a
talked
good
to. Well, I'm
point.
sorry. We've already closed on that yesterday because I found out what he's doing and I swooped in on it.
That's so fun. I mean, maybe the whole thing was a sham. I don't know. Right.
Yeah,
But
it was Nigerian. You said you remember the accent.
no, he had a thick Northeastern accent.
All right. All right. So where do we go from here? How many? When you did your first mailer, how long did it take you to put your second mailer out?
2 or 3 months. That took a while.
And
We've not
then
moving incredibly rapidly. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. This business, it takes a lot of metal, it takes a lot of grit, and it takes a lot of determination. And you listen to Jack and Jill, who have been doing this for 20 years, and the sky's falling with money. They're just doing big deals every day, and you hear all these people who are making like Tim, if you're in the call, just killing it. But most of the people that I talk to in my group, maybe it's because we're all small potatoes, are we're just doing the grind, man. We're having some success here, some success there, but it's cyclical. Sometimes you're jumping for joy because the deals are just flowing in, and then other times you're just like, come on, will something please sell? So I've probably only sent out 7, 8 mailers in the last year and a half because we just keep getting calls on them, keep doing assignments, but it's slow.
okay. So it's not that you're lazy or you
Oh
just
no,
or it's not that you're you're just putting things off, you're procrastinating.
no,
It's because your mailers still work. They don't just work for a week or
yeah,
two. They keep
yeah,
working for a long period of
right,
time.
right.
By the
We
way,
just go back there.
any of you guys in the chat room, please post any questions you have for Travis, any comments you have. Speak up. This is for you guys. So we encourage your feedback and your questions. So let's go. Let's talk about sales a little bit. Do you have a process or method for selling or marketing your properties?
Well, we're still figuring that out right now. Right now, I use the free things that I use are Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, and Twitter, Instagram. I guess Pinterest if we're really wanting to get crazy. And I don't think I already said Craigslist.
Yep.
That's about where it ends for us. I mean, I need to do more. If we're paying, if I actually buy the property and there's significant margin in it, we'll put it on the MLS. And whoever's in the forums that said the MLS is on a webinar, they said the MLS is where the people who have money are. They're right. Because I've posted property on the internet and gotten nothing. But then as soon as I put it on the MLS, I've got realtors and other people just contacting me left and right. So if you're saying, I don't want to spend the $300 to put it on the MLS, just do it because it's worth it and you will get your
You're
money
doing
back.
you're doing a direct. You're doing a flat fee listing with a
Yeah.
broker.
I use
Do you have
Congress Realty. That's who Land Academy
Continental?
recommended. No,
Yeah,
Congress Realty.
Congress.
Congress Realty, yeah.
Okay. Do they operate in just a certain area? Or are they nationwide? Or
As far as I know, they're nationwide. And you get
okay.
a special deal with them if you tell them you're a Land Academy member.
Oh, really? Well, I just paid 245 with Broker Direct
That's
MLS. That's
good.
the one. I mean, that wasn't their cheapest listing either. It's just that listing came with a sign and it came with some other bells and whistles and more listings.
Who is
And I've
that?
seen Broker Direct MLS. It's Continental Realty is the name of the realty company. But it was the one that a couple of Thursdays back, Jack had actually showed a screenshot of that company and all of the different websites that they pushed your listing out to, because they push it out through IDX, which is basically the MLS's version of, okay, Keller Williams and Century 21, if you guys want to, you can repost this listing on your website. So it's like a push system, and you wind up seeing your listing all over the place. Plus, you got all the free sites they put it on, like Trulia and Zillow, and they do all that for you, and hundreds, maybe 100 others. But they also put it on LandWatch because I thought you had to pay to get on LandWatch, but my listing wound up on LandWatch, so you could go look up my listing on LandWatch. Yeah, and I didn't have to pay extra for that. So maybe they've got a super discounted deal. Yeah, take some notes. On the other hand, I haven't gotten a single call from my MLS listing that I've had on there for probably it's gone. It's over 2 weeks now. It's probably 15 days or so. But I'm gonna let you dissect this and tell me what the problem is. Either my price is too high, or the fact that the lot is in an HOA, or both. Which one is it?
I'm laughing because I just had this argument with my partner today. Exactly what we're talking about, because I think, in my opinion, if your property's sitting on the market for 2 weeks and you're not selling it, that drives me crazy. I'm impatient, and I start thinking, well, what am I
getting any calls?
No calls. Emails?
Zero calls. Zero. I put it on Craigslist, no calls. And I don't know if it's an HOA thing or it's the price.
It didn't get flagged.
No, I know it's not flagged. I mean, okay. I don't think I can't. Well, I can't say that. Well, if they flag it, wouldn't they send me an email? Wouldn't Craigslist automatically send me an email and say you're? They wouldn't.
Maybe you have to turn that on, but in my experience, you have no idea. I'll just go 2 weeks later and realize that somebody flagged my post and it's not active.
Oh, okay. But still, I hadn't got any. I mean, I'm not getting flagged on MLS, and it's on MLS. But I will say that I don't like Broker Direct's phone system because I don't know how yours works with Congress, but with Continental, when you call the phone number, you get this super, it's probably the first generation robot voice that's ever been used on voicemail. You have reached Continental Survey, yes, proper. I mean, it's hard to understand. I mean, I know what I was listening for, and I couldn't hardly understand it. And you have all these prompts, like if you're a renter or a purchaser, press 2. If you're a seller or a landlord, press 3. So they're doing both rental and sales. And so that confuses people. So I'm wondering if people just start going, hearing the prompts, and they say, screw this, and hang up. But I don't think that's the issue either, because I'm pretty sure that they actually capture hang-ups and send you an email saying, this phone number attempted to make a call, but we didn't connect the actual. So I don't think I've gotten any phone calls. So I'm thinking.
Did they relay the phone calls, or does it go directly to your phone?
No, they relay it. So that's the thing. If you choose, and so there's several prompts before they get to. It's probably 2 or 3 prompts before they say, if you want to speak to the owner, press 3, and then it'll transfer the call. And I've tried it, and I'm just not liking that at all. I'm going to have to just. I'm going to have to go just put my own phone number on the sign and say, screw it, put a flag on top of it and see if that makes a difference. But on the other hand, it could be the fact that it's in an HOA, because the first property I bought,
could be.
This guy says, he's wanting X amount of money for it. And I said, no, I can't give you that, man. I said, if this wasn't I said, I'm going to see if I can take it out of the HOA, if they'll let me remove it. No, that wasn't going to happen. But if I could remove it from the HOA, he said, well, if I went an HOA, man, I would have sold it 20 times by now. I said, exactly. That's why I can't go up. And he was wanting me to go up in my price. I stood firm. I bought 4.7 acres for $3,200, and it's on Center Hill Lake, which everybody wants to go to do their boating and stuff in the summertime. So I don't know. We're just going to hold out and let those two things run for another month, and just see if maybe when the weather heats up. Have you ever had a property that considered seasonal?
I mean, in Minnesota, everything right now is seasonal. I'm assigning 3 lots in Minnesota. I'd probably like to buy 1 or 2, but I don't even know if I can get anybody to go out there and take photos, because it's 20 degrees and blanketed in snow right now. So everybody says they're going to go look at it, but then they never follow up with me. I don't think they do, because the weather's tough. So, yeah. Now, if you mean, as far as your property, the HOA probably hurts you. If I was trying to call somebody, I wouldn't want. If I called somebody and it went to a robot first, that might throw up some red flags in my mind. Congress Realty, they call your phone directly.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. My phone just rings. It doesn't get relayed, as far as I know. I think I can even put my phone number in the listing.
Huh.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, this one wouldn't allow me to put it in the listing itself because they were saying that it has to go through the agent, which is okay. But I may be taking a look at Congress because, I mean, for the
yeah.
difference between 300 and 245 is not enough for me to not get phone calls. But that,
Yeah,
but that's
they
very
also email you. Like, is any emails they get, they directly, like Andrew, what's his name, will send them directly to you. They're great. I've used them 2 or 3 times and I have great experience with them. But they're more expensive than 245.
right. Well, you said 300, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's nothing, man. That's small
yeah.
potatoes, really, in the big scheme of things. If it makes a difference in whether I get phone calls or not.
Well, are
But
you marketing it well? Do you have good photos and a video? And
oh yeah, well, you can't put a video on MLS, can you?
I'm pretty sure I've seen people do it.
Really?
I'm
I
not
didn't. I mean,
100%.
at least my broker didn't have a video upload. I had uh, 30 photographs. They allowed you to have 30 photographs, and I put 30 on there. So
Mm.
there's tons of photographs, and I go in and do screenshots of Google Earth and with Parlay 2.0. Are you familiar with Parlay 2.0?
I haven't used it, but I definitely know what it is.
Oh my gosh, it's the greatest thing ever. I mean, I think I've got it pulled up here. Let me see if it's open.
You pay for it,
Uh,
yes?
yeah, I do pay for it, and it's worth the money because
Mm.
between Parcel Fact and Parlay 2.0, you can zero in on a property and see what's going on. So
Can I
let me.
just say something?
Sure.
This is not a rant or anything, but everybody would probably agree with me. I can't be the only one that thinks that Parcel Fact has extraordinary loading times. It's just
Oh,
it takes,
it is slow. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
in fact, I know that you know the difference between when you put a APN and you don't get it, you get um,
the
the
crossed
red thing.
out.
Yeah, the thing is, it's not. We can't find this parcel versus it's going to find it. It's because it doesn't show up right away with the red screen of death. It takes forever for it to load. Us. Okay, it must be finding it then.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it takes a while. I know some people, and I'll not get off on a tangent, but I know some Land Academy members have been a little disheartened by things like that and consider making their own tools. Hence Parlay 2.0, yeah.
yeah, well, the thing is though, here's the only reason that I would really. I mean, it's not that I don't need it, but what I like about it is that I mean, parcel. You got to have Parcel Fact at least to get to the lat longs. Once you have the lat long, okay. So I'm going to share my screen and see if I can get away with doing it this time. I'm going to get back over here and just real quickly show what. Here we go, right here. So this is a property that. All right, so that's the property that I purchased right there. Do you see the little blue houses? Can you see them?
Yes, yes.
All right. So you see the blue lines. So that's all of the parcels. So now you're not going to be able to see this on your screen, but when I click on that little blue house icon, a little white box opens up, and it's got all the information that you'd get from the assessor. You've got the owner's name, the acreage amount, whether it's residential or something else, even what the land cover is. Like this one says 3.5 acres are in deciduous forest and zero point 0.5 acres is developed open space. I mean, literally, it gives you 86% versus 13%. The market value total, the mailing address of the owner, the school
But
district.
we can't see that, by the way.
Right,
That
that's what I'm
information.
saying. I knew that you couldn't see that. That's why I was listing out what's in there.
Sure.
But can you
Okay.
imagine being able to just click on any box? Like, I wonder who the neighbor is that's across the street. Well, there he is right there. It's Nathan Pack. And
Oh wow.
so all of those parts, you can just get an idea what's going on. And without it, I mean, you know what Google Earth looks like. Without it, you're having to guess where the property lines are. And so
Well,
anyway, I
you can
love
also
it.
use Title Pro 247. That's included with your membership, but that doesn't have quite as much information for free as you just described.
Well, all right. Well, tell me this. I have not used Title Pro 24/7. What is the advantages of it?
Okay, now we get into my favorite part, the tech and data and the tools and the
Cool.
cutesy stuff. All right. So Title Pro 247, they just have they aggregate. You can do searches by a number of different. There's a lot of filters. There's a lot of search criteria. Is what I'm trying to say. If you want to get like the neighbors of a property, for say, let's say that you wanted to send out neighbor letters, they have like a pencil tool where you can draw a border around your property, and it will
Kind of like
select.
Zillow or Trilia's mobile app.
I'm not sure. I haven't used it. Did they have that
Yeah,
option?
they do that too. You can like just draw around on your screen, and then it gives you
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
households in that. Cool.
right. So then you can then you can select those and download that information, and it'll give you all the same information that you would get from RealQuest Pro. Um, yeah, I also want to say some people tell me, some people tell me they're using a drawdown account on DataTree. I guess DataTree's actually got a drawdown account. You just pay a flat fee, and it'll give you a certain amount of data rather than a subscription fee. But anyway, Title Pro it's great for counting the number of properties in a region, and it's great for getting property information, but it has its limitations. It doesn't always find the information, maybe because the assessors don't provide it. But I like it a lot. I use it on a regular basis, basically to get neighbors. Yeah.
Okay, so can you not do that in RealQuest though? If you did it in RealQuest, how would you do it?
I guess you would say in RealQuest, do they have a map function in RealQuest?
No, they do not have a map function. What you can do though is I think you can specify a radius, like a 1 mile radius, and it can
Right,
bring you all of the records that are in
right.
that radius, and then of course, you can download them. And then, of course, if there's only a handful, if it's 15 or 20 or 30 households, I don't know how many households have you done neighbor letters?
I do them all the time.
Okay. So give me the anatomy of your process from, okay, you've closed the deal, you own it now. Do you do neighbor letters first? Do you send out an email to your buyers list first, or do you do it all at the same time, or what?
Ideally, my method is to send out the neighbor letters first, and I mostly focus on contiguous properties, and then a little bit more. Sometimes I've sent to whole subdivisions. I find that to be a waste of time. Just get the connector properties and maybe a little more. So first is the neighbor letters, and I offer the neighbors a discount to what we're going to list it on the open market to give them an incentive to buy it. So I'll give you $500 or $1,000 off if you'll buy our property. As soon as I think that those neighbor letters have reached the people in the mail, then I go online and I start posting it to my website and all of the social media sites that I listed before. We give that, and actually before I do that, I send it out to my buyers list as well.
Okay, I was about to say that would make sense next.
Yeah, and we also give the buyers an incentive. We say we'll give it to you $500,000, $1,500 cheaper. Then we go to the open market. If we get through all those, then nobody calls us back. And I'll
How many
probably
people do you have?
on my buyers list.
Yeah.
12, 15, not a ton.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I think I got 8, but I love the phone. So when my haters call, I turn a lot of those haters into lovers.
yeah,
I get them liking me because I think a lot of times they're not really hateful. They're just being curious. Like, how in the heck are you actually buying property this cheap? How are you doing that? Well,
some are curious.
Yeah, they are. And the ones that are curious, I just ask them, I said, why do you buy land? They go, yeah, I buy it all the time. Or, yeah, I love to buy land. I'm always looking. Well, if I brought you a piece of property, it was 30, 40% under market value, would you want to know about it? Sure. Well, hey, I'll put you on my buyers. Okay, sure.
Right.
But now, when you said, when you think that your letters have hit your neighbors, then you go to the next step. Why wouldn't you send yourself a letter so you know?
Extra money. There's no reason not to. I just haven't done it.
It's 55 cents, man.
You're right. I just always slips my mind.
But on the other hand, I wonder if it would be any different time frame. Like maybe you're selling it in Nevada and you live in Tennessee like me, and it takes an extra day to get the letter. I don't know. It may not be that much difference.
If I put it in my local post office and then just delivering it back to my house, though, I'll probably get it in a day versus somebody in California.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but how long? But it does. Are you doing are you doing your neighbors letters through offers to owners too?
So offers to owners has a limit, a lower limit of 100 letters.
A minimum? Oh, I didn't know that.
Unless they removed it, and anybody in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong. By the way, I haven't figured out how to see people's chats over here.
Oh, that's the second box from the top.
Okay.
You get the gear. You have to click on the chat. Now you'll see all the chat stuff. I thought I told you that earlier.
Okay, yeah, you did.
Sorry.
I just thought I thought I saw some messages pop up that didn't show up. But anyway, yeah.
I'm broadcasting the messages so everybody can see it that I think's relative. Okay. I can turn them on to the crowd.
I think 100 letters is the lower limit. So I just fold them and put them in a double window envelope myself. You know, if it's only a dozen or so.
Yeah. I wonder if it makes sense to. If you're going to get 100 anyway, and you're going to send 25 neighbor letters, just download 75 buyer's letters and send them out.
I've done that. But I just find it to be not worth the extra stamp cost. You know what I mean? I gotcha. I don't get a result off of it. So.
Okay, so you do your neighbor letters, then you do your email to your buyers list, and then you go flood the market, the social media market. When do you decide whether to do MLS or not?
I probably give it a week before I go to the MLS, before we spend money. But now with these next two properties I'm going to buy, because we're in a cash crunch right now, I'm going to go straight to the MLS right after we close escrow, because I know it works.
Oh, okay. So how many properties have you sold off the MLS that didn't sell off the other stuff that you said, okay, I'll put it on the MLS, and then it sold?
You know, to be honest, I've probably sold one or two off the MLS, and then invariably after I post them on the MLS, somebody hits me up on Facebook Marketplace and says they want to buy it. And it's like, well, great. I'm glad I spent that $300 just for somebody on Facebook to
That's Murphy's Law, man. That $300 caused that guy to click on your link and find.
Right.
Tell me about Facebook Marketplace, because I went over to Facebook Marketplace, and the only thing I can see I can sell are household goods. I can list rental property that's for rent and cars. There's not a real estate option for me. Am I in the wrong spot?
I think there is one that says property for sale. I could go look right now, but I think there's one that says property for sale.
I'm looking right now. I mean, I'm on my home page. I'm going to go to
Facebook.com/marketplace.
No, I didn't do that. I'm just looking to see where do you find the marketplace icon to say, okay, I want to go. I thought I'd found it. I thought I was on it, but I didn't see a way to put a real estate on it. So do you have to have an official business page to do that?
No, you go to Facebook.com/marketplace, and then you click on sell something. I'm doing that right now, and then it says item for sale, vehicle for sale, or home for rent. I click on item for sale, and then they say select a category, and then there's a category here. I could probably screen share this. Let me just screen share.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So, start over then if you're going to do that. Go back to the.
Where are you here? You said it has to be a different window, so let me do this real quick. Boom. All right, here we go. So, screen share on Facebook Marketplace.
Okay, come on, Mouse. There. What are you doing?
All right, here we go. So, here I am at Facebook Marketplace. Can you see this?
Give me a sec, because my mouse froze up. My screen froze up.
Okay. Well, I can see
it. Yeah, I do see it. Now, how did you get there?
You can. There's a couple ways to get there, but
okay.
I was just type in Facebook.com/marketplace. Is my computer freezing? No. Facebook.com/marketplace. So you go to Facebook Marketplace, and then you click on, and there's YouTube videos on this. Click on sell something.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty dumb. I'm not asking dumb questions. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Item for sale, select a category, and then you go down here and you click property for sale. And
I didn't have that. Maybe I was looking at a local marketplace? I mean, this is marketplace? Like, how does it know what marketplace to put your listing in? Is it based on where you live or where you say you live?
See right there where it says location,
Yeah,
and then when you go to sell something, then
yeah.
you type in where you want it to post right here.
Can you change that? Can you put multiple
Yeah,
listings out there in different areas?
I do it all the time. Just put the zip code in or whatever.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
That's interesting. Okay.
yeah,
Can you do like one ad and duplicate it over a bunch of different areas without having to retype it or repost it?
yeah. So usually what I do is I go to my business page. I have a group and a business page. So we'll say we go to our group real quick. I go to my group, and anybody can join this, by the way. Um,
Okay.
I post. I go in here and I click on sell something, and you go through this and you type in what you're selling, what the category is, and everything like that. Then you hit next, and then it will ask you. Um, it'll ask you, do you want to post to more places? Right.
Okay.
6,000. Next. Post to more places. All right, so now I click on all the places I want to post it. There's Marketplace, and here's all the groups that I'm part of.
Oh, okay. You can post it to your own groups.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nice,
And
because
then
I've
you
got
click
about.
post.
Are you? I mean, are you like me, or do you belong to a bunch of vacant land for sale in Arizona and Texas and North Florida and all that kind of stuff?
Sure do, as many as I can.
Okay.
I don't know if I ever get sales out of them, but I definitely do. So,
You might add to your buyers list.
yeah, definitely. Facebook Marketplace is probably our biggest inquiries. I get people literally every day asking. Now, having said that, you all may have experienced this where anybody who uses Facebook Marketplace can attest to this. You get 100 people a day who say, "Is this available?" But
Yep.
then you say yes, and then they say nothing. And I've learned recently that that's because it's a mistake. I think people are fat fingering their screens because a lot of times they tell me it was an accident and they didn't mean to do it. So people aren't just flaking on you most of the time. They didn't ever
Well,
intend to acquire in the first place.
but wait a minute. When they message you to say I'm interested in this whatever it is you got for sale, isn't the first default message is this still available? Like you don't have the option to change it. And what you might want to do is say, is this price include a down payment or whatever? And so they have to do the yes, is this still available? And now they're not really wanting that answer to that question. They're just wanting an answer to another question before they don't even really care if it's available until they get their question answered. So
I
maybe
think
that's what's causing that. I mean, I've
maybe
done that several times. I didn't really want to say if it's available, like I'm interested. I just want to know, is it still for, what about, is it electric or not? Or does it have this gadget on it or not? Hmm.
so. That used to be the case, and that may be still the case on the phone. But now I think they just let's see, ask for details. Oh yeah,
Click
you're right.
ask for,
You ask for. Look, it says it'll be sent in 4 seconds. So
yeah. So you just said, is it still available, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. See, that's what I thought. Now you can, now once you've done that, now you can send a second message and type in what you want.
Sure. That's right, and that's what I get. That's how I know that people are serious because
Okay.
if I've gotten to where I don't even elaborate. I mean, maybe I should, but I get so many people who say, "Is this item available?" that I just say yes, and if they want to continue the conversation from there, then we continue the conversation from there.
All right, Mr. Technical Whiz Kid.
Okay.
Um, are you using chatbots?
For my
And if not,
customers,
well, on Marketplace on Facebook, since you can use a chatbot in Messenger, you can automate the heck out of it. Are you not doing that? Or are you not really savvy to that?
well, I wasn't aware that you could do that on Facebook. I don't get enough traffic in order to automate it, but
Wait
I
a minute,
guess
you
I
say you get
could.
like 100 people that says
That's totally an
yes, it's
exaggeration.
still.
Let's
Oh, so
say
you get three.
I
So
probably
you
get
get
a dozen
three.
a day. Probably a
Okay.
dozen a day, I would
But
say.
wait a minute, a dozen a day. What if you turn four of them into people who get on your buyers list? Where you say, "Hey, yes, it's still available, but hey, if this property is not something you're looking for, please take my survey to give me the details of the perfect property you're looking for, and I'll see if I can go find it for you."
You're
I
right.
send it. you can do that with a chat box where you can have a conversation, an ongoing conversation, highly interactive, and they may or may not figure out that it's a chat box. I mean, most people are savvy enough to figure that out now, and they accept it for the fact that, okay, I know this guy's not going to be hanging out on Facebook all day to answer all these questions, but yeah, I'll use the chat box to get my information. But if you can get them to subscribe to your list, and I haven't done it myself yet, but I will be doing that. I definitely I'm doing that. In fact, I'm building a future buyers list using something similar to that to get people to opt in and tell me what kind of property do you want, and if you'll tell me what you want, I'll go look for it. And maybe it might not be my property. It might be that I'll come to you and say, hey man, I got this lady that looking for a half-acre lot in Arizona to park her van on when she comes through. Do you have anything out there? You said you were working in Arizona or whatever. Maybe post it on a billboard or something. But
or even other land academy. I've done that from time to time. Sometimes that gets old because you start to remind yourself, I'm not in the business of looking for real estate for people. But I do that occasionally. But I am going to look into this. I don't know if the chatbot works for Marketplace, but I've definitely seen it on people's Facebook pages, like business pages.
Right. Yeah.
You should ask me.
What have I not asked? Here, let me take a look at my cheat sheet over here.
How do I run my business?
Yeah. Is that on there? How do you run your business? We talk a lot about that.
So I'd like to share some tools with people.
Okay, cool.
The big appeal for a lot of us is that you can do this from anywhere. In Jack and Jill, they said a third of the members have retired. If anybody in this group is retired, I'd love to talk to you. Has retired from their job, I'd love to talk to you because I'm wanting to do the same. I'd love to do this full time, but I just haven't gotten there yet. So we've taken this thing completely remotely. I have ambitions to probably live overseas again one day. I spent probably 4.5 years in Asia with and without the military. I'd like to get back and run businesses from my laptop. Yeah. And so as a result, I've made this land business completely virtual. We have a virtual fax, virtual mailbox, virtual phone service, email, everything you can imagine. I'd be happy to share any of those tools with anybody. But yeah,
if anybody's... Let me drill down then. So on a virtual phone number, like for example, I have a Skype in and Skype out number that I've had since I used to live in England. And I noticed your flag back there. Why do you have a British flag behind you?
That's New Zealand, actually.
Oh, is that? Okay.
Yeah.
And then what's the other flag? Is that something from Asia somewhere?
Yeah, I lived in Taiwan for a year teaching English and just having a good time. So that's Taiwan, and then I went to New Zealand because before I came to college, my backup plan was to move to New Zealand and work out there. But
really,
I come back to school instead.
So what is the appeal to live overseas?
Well, the option for one. I'm a language and culture buff. I really enjoy picking up languages and foreign foods and everything. Everything's an experience. Imagine you go to the grocery store, instead of seeing Pop-Tarts and Wingdings or whatever you got there, you see everything that's written in a foreign language. So it's just a challenge. I like to be challenged, and I like to overcome those challenges. And being abroad, I have the opportunity to do that. So that's the personal side. But the business side is that a lot of, I don't want to speak out of turn here because I'm not an expert on this, but a lot of countries may give entrepreneurs or business people advantageous visas or tax rates or
absolutely
to come live there and start business there.
Yeah, some countries will give you super duper tax deals to do that, but you got to bring some money with you to do it. Let's see what we'll go back to that, but let me see what Nick's saying here. He's saying that, Travis, how was your experience mailing NYE County? What is that? Nye County? Is that the name of it? I thought about mailing there because I had hundreds of lifetime front site membership I could give away as gift for buyers. Oh, that is really cool, Nick. I would love to take one of those. Take them up on one of those. Front site is a training program for firearms. I don't know if it's tactical. I can't remember. So what is your answer to him?
Well, Nye County, I wasn't sure if I was going to reveal this or not, but Nye County is my bread and butter. That's where we've done most of our business. Now, is that to say that the real estate market is crazy hot and I'm throwing huge margins around? No. I mean, to be honest, we're probably making maybe 20-30% profits on properties. But the town is growing. It's right outside of Vegas. They're expanding the roads. They're building the world's largest racetrack there. The winery is growing. So it's growing. But Nick, one thing that you want to be careful about if you decide to mail to Nye County is that there's a water issue. The town, well, Pahrump specifically, the city water engineer has, and you'll run into this in other places too, has put a cap on the number of wells that could be drilled because the city sits on top of a big reservoir. And so the citizens have put together a union of sorts or different groups, and they've taken this fight with this engineer who has now quit, all the way to the Nevada Supreme Court because people are furious because they had bought property with the intention of drilling a well and having water on their property, and all of a sudden the state engineer came out and said, okay, nobody else can drill wells. And a tertiary effect of that is that it caused the water prices, water rights, because you have to purchase water rights. It caused the secondary market price for water rights to just skyrocket.
Through the roof.
I mean, just crazy. 15, people can name their price, $10,000-$15,000 sometimes for water rights. So that might be resolved. I find a lot of people don't care about the water issues and they're just buying property anyway because it's a decent place to invest. I have a great relationship with the escrow agent there, so that's where I do most of my business. I've had success there, but does that mean that's the hottest place to buy property? Not necessarily. I'm currently selling probably 4 or 5 lots right there.
So
I'm having a hard time selling them.
So that's pretty ballsy to disclose where you're doing business. I applaud you for your guts.
Well, Nick put me on the spot.
Way to go, Nick. Yeah, Nick was on the spot last week, and you should have been in there to give him the business. All right, so let's go back to the technology. So I use Skype in, Skype out number. It's a 10-digit phone number. I can use it on any computer. If the phone rings, my computer rings. I can use it on my smartphone, etc. What do you do for a phone number for virtual business?
Well, now I've got Pat Live for one.
Okay.
But I've been using Google Voice, and I haven't really had too much trouble with Google Voice. So I just keep a Google Voice number that forwards to both mine and my partner's cell phones.
And can you tell when it forwards that it is Google Voice? So you put on your business voice when you answer.
Yes, I have it. So my company name is Foxhole Acres, and I'll get to that in a second. That's the special name there. But anyway, it shows up as Foxhole Acres on my phone. I've set it to show business. And
so then you'll know. Okay.
Yeah. Because I don't. Yeah, I want to distinguish the difference of the two. You know what I mean?
Is there ever a risk that Google will just deep six their Google numbers and that your SOL, or are you allowed to port that number?
I don't know that number is portable. I mean, Google stopped supporting Google Voice probably a year or two ago. So if they were going to terminate it, they probably would have done it already. I know a ton of people use Google Voice right now. So there would be outrage if they ended that service. But they don't provide support for it, so it can be buggy.
But bottom line is, if you're in Asia somewhere, NomadNet on your laptop, you can still do business with Google Voice. Right. Your phone will ring over there. All right. What else do you do this virtual? You said you named off 4 or 5 tools for like faxing. I've got a inbound fax number that I can use.
HelloFax. We use HelloFax. HelloFax is it's a service that we pay, I don't know, $10-$20 a month for, and we can send outgoing and incoming faxes all from a phone or from your laptop. It just shows up in your email. Okay. So I don't have a fax machine. It just,
I think I have something called Fax Zero.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I use that for sending, especially if it's 2 or 3 pages or less, it's free. But then I do pay for inbound fax. I found that you can't find free inbound faxing, but there is cheap inbound faxing, and
I
I
found
can't
that too.
remember. But I've got, and I don't even, I set up automatically. What else do you do? You fax and phone. What was the other things you mentioned?
I
Your
do
virtual
digital
address.
signatures for everything. I rarely, if I can help it, I don't like to keep anything physical. I run my entire business off of G Suite, which is Google Suite. Um, and that's got a lot of integration with the apps we use. So we do digital signatures for everything using, a lot of people use DocuSign. I prefer to use HelloSign just because I like the interface better. I think it's a little friendlier.
Does it cost anything?
Three a month, three free a month, and then if you want to pay for a membership, they have plans. Yeah,
Could you type that? Maybe stick the URL in the chat box for that.
sure.
Hello,
Those are
whatever it
both under the same company.
is. Okay.
Hello. Here's HelloSign, and HelloFax is well the same thing. But
What is? Oh, okay, so it's the same company does both. And what
yeah,
about virtual
mail.
office address? What do you do for that?
I just got. I scoured the Land Academy forums, as I'm sure several of you have, to find the answer to this, and I decided to use Anytime Mailbox. I Anytime Mailbox is a relatively new company, but they've got offices, people all over the world doing it. The one thing that I wanted to be careful about was to ensure that whoever was going to be picking up my mail was going to be in business for a long time to come.
That was my concern right there. That you don't know that they're not going to get bought out and shut down, or the guy dies or sells out or whatever.
hmm So what I ended up doing is I found this lady in, and I can give her name, contact information, anybody wants it. I
Sure,
found
do
this
that, please.
lady in Las Vegas who's runs a notary service, and she said this company's been in business for, I don't know, 20 or 30 years now, and they don't have any intentions of going out of business anytime soon. And this mail thing, she just started doing this about a year or two ago for customers who needed to live abroad and check their mail for one or two customers. And she said it's just exploded in popularity. So she said if she didn't do anything else, she would do this well into her retirement. So I don't think she's going anywhere. She's personable. She gives me
How old
personal
is she?
service, and she's nice. She's a little older. I mean, probably
I mean,
your
what's
age. I have no
retirement?
idea how old you are.
Well, I'm 58, man. So she could, if she's 58, she could be retiring in 10 years or less.
That's a good point. So I mean, there's always that risk, right? There's always a risk, but
Well,
it's
then
interesting.
you need to get real friendly with her so that if she ever decides to retire, you can buy the business out. By that time, you'll have plenty of money, buy the business, and offer it up.
Well, I don't want to live in her office in Vegas and deal with her PO box.
No, you don't. You don't have to live there. You could buy it and live. You can run it virtually, right?
I
You've
guess
got
so.
all this technology. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to
So
hire somebody.
Regis just raised their prices a ton every year. Okay. Yeah, I've looked at this. There's several different online virtual mailboxes where they've got different pricing structures where they'll give you X number of free review. They'll upload X number of them, or they'll save them on their server for you, or they'll receive packages and remail them to you, and things of that nature. But
They'll even do check
you know,
cashing. This one will even check. They'll even deposit checks for you if you want them to.
and so are you getting people sending you checks in the mail that you would need to do that?
Yeah, occasionally we do have people. There's a premium fee for that. Of course, you got to pay a fee to do it, but I mean it's great. People send me stuff in the mail, and whatever it is, I just click on my phone in an app. I say open, shred, recycle,
Right,
forward, or scan it,
right.
and then she does it, and then I see a photo of it scanned. And I'm sure it's the same thing for all these other services that are out there, World Nomads or whatever the others are.
And how much does she charge for that basic service?
For 20 to, I can't remember, it was 20 or 40 packages a month I'm allowed to have, or letters a month I'm allowed to have, and I pay, I think it was $160 for the year, and that it allows two
Oh
forwarding
wow!
addresses. Yeah, it was cheap.
And how much mail are you getting? Are you even getting anywhere near the limits?
No, not enough to justify that, but I wanted to ensure that I could forward to both me and my partner. if that
Okay,
makes
get two
sense.
forwards. Gotcha. I see. So
Yeah.
does it? It's forwarded to you in your email. It's just attachment that you look at.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, no, well. I think it does. It does do that, but you just look at it in the app.
Okay. So it's not like
Yeah.
somewhere you could forward your email to your partner and they could still see it or not.
I yeah. I don't recall at the moment. I
Okay.
don't remember at this moment. Yeah.
Well, if you don't remember, if you don't mind popping in the name of that company or I mean, I'm sure there'll be some folks in here that would want to know about that.
Hey, if anybody has recommendation for other services, I'd love to hear them too. Um,
And then, so what else are you using? Pat Live. Do you use Pat Live because you don't like to get the hate calls or answer the phone like some people do, or is it just convenience because while you're at school or in a class or what? What's the scoop?
it's multifaceted. For one, I hate answering the phone. I just because people take up all my time, and then I'm a full time engineering student. I'm running a business. I got a girlfriend. I got things to do. I got a life. You guys have kids, and you have your job, and you have responsibilities. We all have things to do. That and my partner, uh, up until recently, was working a full time all the time. He never had time to answer the phone either. So they just I was totally able to justify the cost because they gave me my time back, and that's time that I can spend on the computer pulling data from mailers, sending neighbor letters out, scrubbing my data, all that kind of stuff, writing software, writing different programs and different scripts to make this faster all the time. So it gave me my time back. um, Now it's only worth it if you're consistently sending out mail. That's the only time it's worth the price. So that's the struggle. But do you answer your own phone?
Yes, I do, and I love it. I'll tell you why. For years and years and years, I was in the financial services business where it was my job to call you and set an
Mm,
appointment that we get face to face, kneecap to kneecap. So I had to get good on the phone, and you had to be able to overcome objections and build rapport. And
yeah,
I feel like I'm decent at that. And so I hear somebody like Adam Southey, who is Justin Sleva's podcast partner.
yeah,
He hates taking phone calls. He hates the hate calls. I love the hate calls. I think they're fun. I try. To me, it's like a game. I try to turn the tables and see if I can make them friendly to me. Because when they first get on there and they're saying, "I can't believe you're doing it," I said, "Well, ma'am, I'm so sorry. That letter actually wasn't meant for you. It was really meant for the person that lives out in Oklahoma and their dad, left them some property when he passed away, and they're never coming back to Tennessee, and they don't want the property. They've never been to it. In fact, they're so lazy, ma'am, they won't even hire a real estate agent to try to sell it for them. They get my letters like easy money. They take it and move on. So and there's only maybe out of 1,000 people, ma'am, there's probably maybe 3 people that it was actually meant for, and it wasn't meant for you. So I hope you don't take this as an offense. And some of them like say, "Oh, well, yeah, okay. Well, I just wanted to know. I just want to make sure you knew that's okay." But many of them, though, I'll turn the tables on them and make them. I've already got 8 people on my buyers list, and that's just from one mailer. And I've met contractors. Like I've already got a lead on where I might do infill properties because I had a guy call me up and he said, "Is this number you're giving me? Is it for real?" I said, "Well, yeah." Why? He said, "Well, I wanted to know before I started laughing at it." And I said, well, I take it that you're not that excited about my offer. He said, "No, not really." I said, "Well, why?" I said, are you just wanting to find out if I'm for real?" And I said, "Well, I'm just curious. How do you ever buy property that's low?" And I said, "Well, yeah, every now and then." I said, "Why do you buy property?" And he said, "Yes, buy it all the time." And I said, "So what do you do?" He said, "Well, I'm a contractor. I build houses." I said, "Really? Whereabouts?" And he was up in Indiana somewhere, and he started telling me where he was, and he was like, he wasn't in a big city, but he was like close to one. Next thing you know, he's telling me that, yeah, I've got like 3 or 4 counties that I build houses in, and it's like hopping up here, man. It's going crazy. I said, "What are those 3 or 4 counties?" He named them off. I wrote them down. Like, these are counties I'm going to check into and see if info. I said, "Look, if I found some property up there where you are that was suitable to build a house on, like a half acre, 1 acre, would you want to know about it? If you could get it at market rates or below market rates?" He said, "Absolutely." So now he goes on my buyers list. Now I might turn around and go look at that area and see if there's infill lots available. And I've got a potential buyer already that I know that it's interested because, that's one of the hardest things for to builders to do if they're not one of those big nationwide companies. If they're a guy doing 3 or 4 or 5 spec homes in a season, or 10 or whatever, they're always trying to figure out how are they going to find that 1 or 2 lots. They don't need to buy 30 lots. They just need to buy 1 or 2 or 5. So I take it as a challenge to turn the tables. I love taking the phone calls. Now, whether or not, after you compound month after month of sending letters, and our goal is to send letters out every month, at least 1,500 or more, maybe it'll come to a time where there's so many phone calls that I have to give it up. And I don't, I'm going to work up to that point, but I'm going to make it push me into Pat Live. I don't want to give it up right now just because I'm going to get, I'm going to get butt hurt because somebody calls me up and using some foul language or tries to dump me. I just laugh. I just think it's funny. I mean, the lady that says, funny. I'm going to turn you into I'm going to talk to my DA because I think you're committing fraud. I just laugh. I said, ma'am, I'm not committing fraud. I just gave you a really low offer and you're not liking it. I find it surprising that people take the time to actually call or even worse. The first letter I got back, my wife saw it. She said, hey, there's a letter over here that says something about a purchase agreement. I said, what? Give me that. I rip it out of her hands thinking I've got a deal on my hands. I open it up and start reading it, and I look at the signature. The signature is the letters, are you smoking crack?
Yeah, I get those all the time.
Are you smoking crack? So, okay. So, crap. But I've not received any on my first mail. I've never got have you got any purchase agreements were just mailed into you that were ready to buy?
All the time. I just sent out a bunch of property in one location and I just got more than I expected to, so I probably offered too much. But yeah, it happens all the time. But first, you're going to get all the ones you talked about.
Yeah, and that's what everybody said. You'll get the first week will be hate, and then you'll start getting offers or getting deals, and I just found that hard to believe, but it is true. I mean, that's when my deals came in, was the second week or so, and that's weird. I wonder why people sit on that for a week. And the haters.
Things that you said. So number one, you said you sent out a mailer of 3,600 letters. Is that right? Earlier.
That's my second. Yeah, I just sent them out this past week.
You answer yourself personally all of those phone calls?
Well, I haven't got those phone calls yet. I've only had one mailer that I've sent out in January, and I got 26 phone calls off of it. That's not a lot to me.
I would have thought you'd have got more.
But the 3,600, I'll probably get more because we raised our offer price on half of them. So it's going to be curious to see how many phone calls I get. But I'm going to be jumping. But that's my job. I'm pretty much full time in this. I don't have another obligation to tend to, so I can man the phones. Now, going back to some of this technology, tell me how you use G Suite. What are the actual programs in G Suite that you use, and how do you use them?
I've tried different things. We've tried Slack, we've tried Asana, we've tried
and all of those are part of G Suite?
No, they're just apps that integrate with G Suite. With G Suite, we mostly just use it to keep all of our files organized. I just moved over to Podio CRM. I'm sure several of you are using that. I would love a recommendation for a CRM.
What is it?
If you're having experience. It's just a free customizable CRM. I fought the CRM train for a year to a year and a half. I finally got on it, and it has been a game changer. You know what a CRM is? Just a way to keep your
customer management software.
Yeah. So Podio is just a free one that you can customize to your own needs.
Well, I'm using Pipedrive right now.
I wanted to look at that. Yeah.
There's a little bit of a learning curve, but I'm not sure I'm going to like it because I had a guy that had a landlocked property. I want to talk to you about landlocked properties. And when he first called me, he told me it's landlocked, and I said, okay, I'll get back with you. And I hadn't got back with him. It's been 2 months. So I want to go back to him and talk to him about it. But when I went to Pipedrive to find his name and address and phone number, I couldn't find it. I had to do some serious, Excel Google foo I had to sort everything because I remembered it was around 16 or 18 acres, and I just had to go in there and pull every APN for 16-acre lots until I found it. Yeah. That does not work for me. I've got to have a way. And I made notes on the account. I couldn't figure out how to search Pipedrive to just show me
where it
notes.
is.
So
Yeah.
maybe be that. So Chuck says he's using Airtable. What is Airtable, Chuck? If you don't mind.
Write that down.
Uh, and does it cost something, Chuck? And what's the main benefit of it? By the way, Chuck, did you sign in with a Gmail address to log into the webinar? If so, I could bring you on in the window here with us for a short period of time and let you discuss it if you want to. If you do want to, you can go over to that hand at the bottom of the blue strip, speak request. Hit that speak request. I may be able to bring you in the room. I tried this last week with someone. It didn't work. So I'm a little, I'm a little bit, I'm not sure I believe it'll work if it does or not. But Podio, so Podio is just a CRM. And have you been able to go ahead and customize it the way you want to?
Yeah, I mean, I can even pull it up if you want to. It's basically
Sure.
instead of having like leads and people to follow, the typical tabs that you have in a normal CRM. I like being able to make my own tabs. While I'm pulling that up, or while Chuck's getting in here, or whatever's going on, I wanted to say one
Chuck,
thing about
Chuck, there's going to be several tests you have to click on to get on. If you have a microphone and a headset, that'll help you get on. You don't need a camera, but if you have it, that'd be great. Looks like he's going to try to get in. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry about that.
Well, that's fine. I just wanted to say one of the anybody who's thinking about switching over to Pat Live and they're currently answering his phones, or if you ever decide to, Jake, it's giving me my time back, but the cost for that is that I get fewer leads now because it's hard to get people back on the phone again. So I don't mind taking hate calls. It just takes a lot of time. But the good thing about taking calls is you have somebody on the phone right there. You can build that rapport with them, and you can put them as a lead, all the things that you described. When you put them on Pat Live and Pat Live just takes a message, you might never get that person on the phone again.
Well, I'm just finding that there's no way Pat Live would uncover the opportunities that I've uncovered. I
agree
uncovered.
with you. I
mean, I met the ex-mayor of the county that was one of the people that got my letter, and he offered to sell me 2 other properties that he had. I decided not to do it, and then I had another guy that I wound up talking to who bought the golf course there, and he had 17 properties and offered to sell them to me in a bundle that would have never happened if it got to Pat Live, because it was just he was just saying, is this price accurate? They're not going to be able to engage them and go in, and you certainly don't want them to engage too much because
you're right.
It costs money.
Yeah.
So I'm still going to try to do it as much as possible.
Sure. Sure. I agree with you on all those points. Definitely. Yeah.
So, and then there's. Yeah, I don't think Chuck's going to get in. He raised his hand twice. I hit accept, Chuck. I'm not sure why it's not working. It's supposed to open up a window that says enter the room, and you hit yes, and then I think you have to go through some tests on your microphone and your camera before you can actually get into the room. So Sanju says, let's see what Sanju is saying here. I don't think most people use Pat Live to really build rapport, or you'll go broke. I agree, Sanju. That's why I'm afraid to do it, because I'm afraid that I'm going to lose out on all of these opportunities. I mean, I've got 8 or 9 or 10 people on my buyers list just from this small mailer that I've done, and I imagine that I'll probably get 10 or 12 per 1,000 that I send out. So anyway,
yeah,
but
you run the risk of also missing calls too. If you're occupied, that's another benefit. If you got a call services, then they'll answer at any time of day. But if you're occupied and you can't answer the phone, you might not be able to call that person back.
So is Pat Live like the only one that you can do it with that's reasonable? Because it seems kind of expensive.
Come on, you worked in this business. Ring Central, there's SAS,
yeah.
There's call centers.
Yeah, but I never used them. I never had more phone calls than I could take. And I used to generate phone calls. I used to use a voicemail robocaller that would call. At one point, I had it set up to call all 4 counties around Nashville and Davidson County, which Nashville's in. So 5 counties. I called every residential number in 5 counties. It took it 4 months to do that, and it would run from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and leave 1,200 plus messages per day. I was trying to recruit people to come to work with me, and it generated a ton of phone calls, but it was never more than I could handle.
you're the people on the other side of those calls.
Well, I actually got the state of Tennessee law changed because they came after me. They were saying you're using a robocall machine illegally. You're not supposed to sell an investment, real estate, or sell something on it. I wasn't. I was trying to recruit people. So somebody complained. It was right after the do not call thing went into effect. And I had a couple of complaints, and one guy recorded my message and he turned it into the state. So I had 2 state investigators show up at my business. We do like an opportunity meeting. It's kind of like multi-level marketing in a way. And you show up and we give a pitch, and we're trying to sell you on why you should join our company, and then we're going to interview you. They showed up and pretended that they were a couple, a man and woman. And then later on I got a summons, and they were going to take it before court, and they wanted me to go ahead and pay like $5,000 fine, and they make it go away. And I brought my national sales director in there with me, and he was like, "Nah, we're not." He was like agreeing with them at the table. And then when we walked out and started down the elevator, by the time we got back down to the first floor, he was like, "Jake, you didn't really break the law. I mean, I don't know why you need to pay this money." I said, "Yeah, I don't want to pay it because I didn't break the law. I wasn't selling anything. I was recruiting." So the next year, by the way, it went away. I never heard from them again. Our attorney talked to their attorney, and it went away. But they changed the law the next year to include any phone calls that or sales, real estate, or recruiting. So
that's crazy. I'm glad you got out of it, though, because you might not be here with us today.
Well, I read. Well, man, if it would have been one of those things where it's based on how many phone calls you made, oh my God, I would still be paying for it. But I checked the law before I did it, and it was very clear about it. And I said, well, this is what I'm doing. I'm right there in that gap that they shouldn't be able to touch me. That didn't mean they didn't want to.
You went from a robocaller to a robo-mailer.
That's right, man. I'm a lot safer now. Now I'm committing fraud by sending out letters. So Sanji thinks that this is the cheapest that you're going to find. So you've done your research, Sanji. All right. Something else I wanted to cover with you that you said you sometimes use legal. Well, you didn't tell me this, but LegalZoom and 1800 Accountant. What is that?
Yeah,
I know what LegalZoom is.
Yeah, but we used LegalZoom to get our business up and going. I mean, probably don't need to spend that much, but I didn't. Besides a couple of books I'd read on different corporate structures, we didn't know anything about how to get our LLC started. So we incorporated in Nevada. We started an LLC in Nevada just because of the favorable tax laws out there. And so I had a LegalZoom account for probably a year just so that I could ask them legal advice about what we're doing in real estate. I never used it. And then for our accountant, I could probably do my own books, but we just pay a 1-800 accountant to do it. Is it worth it? No, it's not worth it, but I don't have to worry about my books. What have you done in the past in your business to keep your accounting on point?
Well, all of my businesses have been sole proprietors, and I've been in the investment and insurance business, so I have a professional license, and it's so easy because you don't have tangible products. There's no inventory to mess with. It's just you made money and you spent money. You file a 10. So I really didn't need. I could probably have done that, and it might have saved me a little bit of money, but really, I don't think it. I mean, this business, yes, my partner. That's what he does. He does people's taxes for them. And so I've got a built-in tax guy and CPA. And I'm looking for this guy, Anderson Consulting. I'm going to see if I can pull this up. It's a YouTube. Anderson, there's a guy that I can't find it right off the bat, but when I do find it, there's a guy that I watched on YouTube, and it's about an hour and a half YouTube. It's not something that you want to sit down if you're if you're not expecting to dig in. But man, this guy he explains all of the ins and outs of LLCs and how to do LLCs inside of LLCs and containers and using S corps, and it's all about protecting your assets. And it could, I imagine that it will be something that I would need if I was at, say, the Justin Sleva level, or Jill and Steven level, where you've got tons of money coming through, and you're doing business all over the United States. This guy makes you bulletproof.
Anderson Consulting.
I think it's I'm not didn't pull it up when I put that in there, and the guy's name is Kuntz or something. I can't remember his last name, but I'll have to find it and see if I can. I'll send it out if I find it. I know I've got one of the things saved.
That sounds really familiar.
Yeah, I don't know. I get emails from them, so I know for a fact that I've got it somewhere that I'll be able to pull it up. Let me check my Gmail real quick and see what comes up. Yeah, Anderson Business Advisors is the name of the company. Let me pull up this email. Legal Business and Tax Advisors. They do seminars once every Tuesday, and it's like a call-in show, kind of like Jill and Steven's show, and you ask anything about.
Who is that?
That's Anderson Business Advisors.
Anderson Business Advisors.
I'm just going to cut and paste this. I'm looking for a URL, and I'm not seeing it. They've got an email address. So let's see. Oh, okay. Their logo is, well, no, it's not. It's just clickable. All right. Command C. Let's go back over here, and I'll put that in the. If you Google them, if you go to YouTube and I'm gonna put that in YouTube and see if I can find this one YouTube video. It's worth the wait, guys. Could be worth the. Besides the great stuff that Travis has shared with us, might be one of the. Here it is. I think this is it. No, that's investment, proper use LLCs and real estate. I think this is it. That's a 37-minute one, but that's probably not the main one. Let me get it here.
I'll tell you what, while you look it up, I'm going to make a plug here.
Okay, go for it.
If any of you guys, if there's anybody in the group who's struggling with Excel or with Google Sheets or spreadsheets or data or anything like that, I'm happy to help. I've got a few other guys that email me occasionally when they get to the limits of their abilities with Google Sheets or with Excel, and I usually am able to help them with the formula. You asked me earlier why I use Google Suite. Because, part of it is because they've got Google Apps Script, and with Google Apps Script, I can write my own custom programs to do things that I want. So rather than going through and manually scrubbing my list, I just can put a script in that I push a couple buttons and it removes all of the duplicates and it takes out all of the mailers who are overseas. I just run a script.
Really?
Rather than having to go through and do it. Yeah, I do that, and then I've got some scrape. I don't want to say this, but let's just say I've got ways.
API. You have API.
Yeah, I got API access. Let's just say if anybody's curious about scrapers, you can talk to me offline. But essentially, I've gotten a couple of things where I'm able to.
Wait a minute! Didn't you send me a scraper through?
I have a tool that I've built that goes in and if there's any counties on landwatch.com that have more than 5 properties that match a certain price and size criteria, it will highlight the name of that county in my list, and that's how I get through my data. So rather than going in line by line seeing does this county have any of the land criteria I want, I just have programs that'll pull all that information for me. So if anybody has questions about that stuff, just talk to me offline. I'll talk to you about it.
Yeah, just call him on Pat Live because he's not going to talk to you about it.
Did you find what you were looking for?
Yeah, I did. Well, this is not the big one. This is a 37-minute video, but this is the guy's name is Clint Coons, Coons, and that's one of the main. I mean, he's got several videos. Let me just put his name in there because I went about it backing into it with the company name. Uh,
Don't
Coons.
forget you got Sanji raised his or her hand, by the way.
Oh, do I? Okay, Sanju, I'm gonna see if you can come in the room, brother. When I click on this, I think it may disconnect you momentarily from the webinar, but you have to go through a series of tests to see if you can hear yourself and see yourself. So we'll see if we can bring him in. Yeah, here's the one right here. Introduction to Asset Protection, um, Disc 1. So this must have been one probably from a series, an educational series that maybe they sell, and it's an hour and 52 minutes, but it is so worth it. You guys, definitely check it out. I'm just gonna pop it in the main box there. That one, you watch that, and you'll come off shaking your head saying, "Wow, why isn't this stuff being taught?" It's got some really. There's some stuff it's available to you right away that you could actually apply. And that's it, Sanju. That's the Tax Tuesdays webinar where you can uh, plug in and ask your tax questions about business if you've got a specific question. It could be
Awesome.
anything from it. So yeah, that is a great way to learn the asset side. I was amazed at how he brings up some of the things you never think of. You're like, crap! If that happened to me, it put me out of business. And they do some good stuff there. All right, let me look at my cheat sheet here. And what are some of the tax benefits you've received from being in business versus? I mean, I know you're a Rich Dad Poor Dad fan, so
I guess just you would know this, having been in finance as a background, but as we all know, once you get through business, you can make write-offs for any extra income. We don't have a whole lot of extra income. I usually plow it all back into the business, but I guess the biggest benefit's been able to, if I want to take a business trip out to see my properties, I can get the tickets paid for. If I need to buy my partner some supplies for the business, we can do that rather than come out of pocket. Kind of intuitive stuff. I haven't gotten too crazy with the different tax loopholes as there are. We may do that if we get into houses someday, but certainly it's worth looking into to see what the tax benefits from owning real estate are, because as you well know, there's plenty of them.
all right, here's a rapid fire session, and we're going to be wrapping it up here soon. So, what is your best deal you've ever done? Like, have you had any crazy home runs?
I haven't had any crazy home runs. I sent out when Justin Sleva said that he and Jack and Jill were gonna start doing this public funding and everything. I tried to
Yeah.
get on the board early, and I just blasted the whole country with, like, for 40 to 120, 160 acre properties. Mostly I got people just calling me saying, "Are you effing crazy? There's no way I would ever sell that." Oh, this one thing I want to say, by the way, and you probably discovered this: do not send out offers for 33% on $300,000 properties, because everybody's going to laugh at you. When you get into that range, you want to bump up, I don't know, maybe 40 to 50% of the market value. Because I just, especially in Oregon, I sent out property letters to Oregon, and everybody said, "Dude, around here, everybody's becoming a marijuana farmer now, and the property's worth 10 times what you're offering." So, just I'd say bump it up a little.
So and that didn't really hurt you because your margin may be smaller, but if you sell one, you'll make enough money that it's like 10 regular deals. I mean, you're going to make a big chunk.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you can still make a big chunk and it'd be a smaller margin, but it's a big chunk of money, especially when you get somebody else to, get Plum to, Plum is Justin Sleva's funding unit. And I want to give a plug to Justin and his partner, Adam. They got a great podcast, REI Casual Fridays podcast. Look it up. I've learned a lot of great stuff from them. Of course, Jill and Steven's podcast, I listen to it every day. All right. What is the craziest deal you've ever done? Anything
Wait, did,
crazy?
did we ever get Sanju, or did he disappear?
Yeah, we didn't, man. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go. This is the second time twice in 2 weeks that this does not work. It's supposed to work. If you registered with a Gmail address, you should be able to raise your hand. I hit accept, and it should suck you into the room. and give that person an opportunity. Maybe I'll do it a different way. Invite a presenter, enter a surname. Let me, let's see.
He might not even be in the group anymore.
Yeah, it's true. We've only got 4 people online with us right now, but Sanju's in the group. Sanju, landrapid.com. That's okay. Give me a second. I'm experimenting here. So, have you have any weird or crazy deals?
Yeah, so it wasn't crazy per se, but if, for a couple of months I was panicking a little bit because I couldn't sell any property, and then I put one of them on the MLS, and it's just like the skies opened up and everybody wanted to buy. I mean, it took a week, right? But then everybody wanted to buy. So naturally, because I've been waiting for so long, I panicked a little bit, and I went with the first guy to give me an offer because he offered to buy out our entire inventory. And he ended up buying our entire inventory. He kind of took us by the horns, or whatever you want to say. He kind of won them over on us. But if I'd held out just a little bit longer, I would have made a ton more money. So, it's always a delicate balance, right? It's like you want to flip them as quickly as possible, so you're inclined to take the first offer that comes your way so that you can move on. But then I'm also finding in my experience that oftentimes after I close, a week or two later, somebody else comes back with another offer, and they're willing to buy it for $3,000 or $4,000 more. So I guess that was it. He bought our entire inventory out, and we owner financed it one, and now he's asking us for more and more property all the time.
So you tell me about the landlocked property. You said you did a landlocked deal. How do you do that?
I'm going to make a confession. I'm not entirely certain that the person who bought the property is aware that it was landlocked property. I don't want to get that reputation. I'm selling one right now, and that's the first thing I tell all of my buyers is, hey, this property is landlocked. But that guy was a neighbor, and he bought the property. It wasn't a contiguous neighbor, but he was in the region.
Well, maybe he knows that he can get access through the other neighbor that he knows, and they're personal friends or something. I mean, maybe. I got a piece right now. It's like 16 acres, and it is a sliver of a property. I'm going to see if I can pull it up on screen, maybe. I'm not seeing, let's see. Yeah, I'm not seeing it here. But anyway, it's a long sliver, 16 acres, and it runs along a guy's property, one full property, and I can't figure out why somebody would have sold this thing to him. And then the other side of it runs along a creek that is owned by the Army Corps of Engineers, so you can't get access through their property. And it runs right, and this creek runs into the Center Hill Dam or Center Hill Lake, which is a desirable area. So I'm trying to figure out, how in the heck would you get access? My partner's been looking at the legal aspect of it, but crap, that could get expensive. I mean, if you go before a judge and he says, yes, you have standing here, and then they put it before a jury is what he says, and then they're going to dictate how much land are you needing, it's 15 foot wide by X number of feet long, and then they're going to come up with a price, and crap, it could be several, it could be $5,000 or $10,000, and I don't know that. At that point, you start saying, well, it's not worth it. I'm trying to figure out if I can just get like you talking about, see if I can get an assignment on this property, go to the neighbors. There's 3 different neighbors that it borders. Some of it does, that maybe would be willing to purchase that property for whatever reason.
Exactly.
It's a tree. It's all in wooded property. I don't know. It could have a lot of hardwood on it. It could be something valuable for logging. I don't know, but I don't want to be scared of a landlocked property. I know that there's supposedly there's people in our group in Land Academy. And by the way, guys, I don't know that anybody's here that's not part of our group, but I'm going to stick this up here. If you're not part of our group, you want to join Land Academy, then you can get a $500 discount if you use the code BuyBuyLand, which is my website, buybuyland.com, and that'll give you $500 off if you want to join Land Academy. But we're down to 4 people. that means people are tired of. We've been on here for 2 hours. That's generally about how long I can. I've squeezed out every firing neuron that's in your brain and got every drop that we could possibly get. That's my superhero power, the cross between an investigative reporter and a crossing attorney to try to get everything we can. And there's some more stuff I want to get out of you, but maybe it won't be tonight. But I do appreciate you coming on. Do you have any last words or parting comments?
Yeah, there's one thing I want to say about landlocked. I talked to a guy in Utah who was trying to sell us a landlocked property, and he said that they had bylaws or something of that nature there that basically said that if you have no other access to property, then the law of the region was that you get to access your property through other people's property. And I don't think they have a choice in the matter. So it might be that
you have to compensate them.
I have no idea. That's all.
There's got to be some compensation for that.
Sure, probably.
But that's the rub. You got to find out if it makes sense to do that, and that's the way the state law reads here. You cannot be denied access to your property, but you know what? You may have to pay for it, and it might, how much is it worth to you? Mm-hmm. So yeah. Well, man, you had some really great. Some really hard hitting facts that people can go back and apply to their business. I like the idea of automation. I want to dig in more to that in future episodes. I'm sure I'm going to be quizzing you behind the scenes because you opened yourself up. Oh, if you have any questions about this, just give me a line. I'm going to give you a line, brother. But hey, guys, we'll have somebody on next week. If you have somebody. Sanju, it might be you, brother. Sounds like you've been a part of our group for a while. You know what you're doing. I am looking for a guest for this coming week. I got Rowdy Baker that held I've got a commitment for him to come on if we can make sure he's got enough internet, but we haven't nailed down a date. So you're not ready yet, Sanju? Why not, brother? Come on, man. Anyway, we'll let you age a little bit in season. But anyway, be looking for a replay in the replay link. If you've got questions about some of this stuff that Trevor has, Trevor.
I'm just plugging myself.
Okay. Sure. Look for Travis in the forums. Travis is always willing to give an answer and help people. I think did you send me a scraper script at one point? Was that you that did that?
I think I did actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure I knew how to use it, so anyway, I might have to have help on that. Anyway, guys, we're going to close it down until next week. You guys, appreciate you being in attendance. Oh, you didn't tell us. You were going to tell us how Foxhole Acres came up with how that name is. Tell us that.
Yeah, well, we were both Air Force, and Foxhole has a military connotation to it because it's the foxhole. Right. And then acres is just something to do with land. So we tried to figure out a way to make the fact that we were a veteran-run company through our name. And I think we accomplished that goal. So.
Cool. Good deal. And I appreciate you serving our country and your partner. Thanks for coming on board with us. Guys, we'll see you guys next week on Let's Talk Raw Land.
All right. Well, Jake.